of Fame class. A lot of the finalists were revealed. Shout out to some of the 2023 players that were in there that we watched growing up during our lifetime. You got guys like Jared Allen, Rondé Barber, guys that have been on the ballot before, right? We had some first timers on there as well. Darrell Revis, Joe Thomas. We've seen guys like some of my favorite players that haven't got in yet have a good opportunity. You talk about guys like Patrick Willis. Reggie Wayne is still on the ballot. So Andre Johnson, another receiver, Torrey Holt, excuse me. Was there any names that you didn't see on the list, Marcus, that you wanted to see?
Absolutely, man. I think my man Steve Smith Sr. Snubbed again, man.
Snubbed?
Snubbed.
What you mean snubbed, dog? Hold on. What you mean snubbed, bro? Because Steve Smith was good, but was he Hall of Famer?
Steve Smith was elite, bro. Elite.
He what?
He was elite, bro. You gotta look at like Steve Smith is top 10 in yards, top 10 in catches. He's up there in touchdowns. Like Steve Smith was an elite receiver. If you're top 10 in any of those categories, you should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
Hell no. When you look at some of the receivers, so hard for them to get in, though. You got guys, we just talked about on the ballot, Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson. Like, these guys
Steve
were
Smith's better than
elite. It's better than who?
Better than who? Guys. 2 out of 3.
Hell, ain't no. All right. Put it this way. If you're going to be a Hall of Famer, you got to be one of the top receivers in your era. And Steve Smith was above average in his era.
Steve Smith, when he was in the league, was a top 5 receiver.
Ain't no way he was a top 5. Steve Smith was not top 5 receiver. Steve Smith was in that Chad Johnson territory. No. The guys that were almost elite. He wasn't a true game-changing wide receiver. Chad Johnson was above average too. Above average. God. That's why he was trying to always wear the Hall of Fame jacket because he knew he wasn't going to get in.
What is above average in today's, like, name an above average receiver in today's game?
If I was thinking about a receiver today, Steve Smith would be like DJ Moore.
Oh, hell no.
He'd be like DJ Moore. And then Chad Johnson to me would be like, if I'm trying to think of a comp for Chad Johnson, it would be like Keenan Allen.
I'm out. No, sir. Shut that down.
It'd be like Keenan Allen. Chad Johnson would be like Keenan Allen, and Steve Smith would be like DJ Moore.
Steve Smith was better than Chad Johnson. And DJ Moore is nowhere
You said Steve Smith was better than Chad Johnson? How?
Absolutely.
Chad Johnson was better. He was a better receiver. He didn't play as long.
Hell no. Steve Smith was elite. Steve Smith, bro, we're talking top 10 all time in yards. Top 10.
He played for hella long too, though. Steve Smith did play for a long period of time, and he's one of them short receivers. Like he never got hurt, so his durability.
He did get hurt.
He was durable.
He did get hurt.
He was durable though.
He was, but he did miss like 2 full seasons of play.
All right, and we got. Let me throw some names out because you got him top 5 in that era. There ain't no way
saying,
he was top 5.
When he was in the league in his prime, he was the top 5 receiver.
But he wasn't one of the best. He might have been top 5 for an individual season, but he wasn't like a top 5 receiver when you look at the. I'm gonna name some receivers. Let's name some receivers. Name some receivers.
And you got to think of his situation as well.
All right. So was he obviously not in like Calvin Johnson territory, right?
No. I'm not gonna
Julio. He not in Julio territory.
I'm not gonna do that. No.
What about a guy like Marvin Harrison?
I think he's in that Marvin Harrison era.
So you think Steve Smith is in that conference, but you'd rather have Harrison or Steve Smith?
I might take Steve Smith, but I mean,
but we can't do this.
You gotta say because like obviously Marvin Harrison, you look at him, he had Peyton though. Like imagine Steve Smith with Peyton.
But Marvin was part of that. But Marvin could have did that on any team. It didn't matter that it was Peyton. He was a technician. He caught the rock with the best of them. Like Steve Smith was a deep ball guy for the most part. Deep ball speed guy. He was a deep ball speed guy.
Everything. Steve Smith was everything. 5'9", played on the outside, played in the slot.
He was not playing on the. He was not. He was punt returner. Yeah, he was like baby Tyreek, baby. Emphasis on the baby type.
Tyreek should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Tyreek is different than Steve Smith, though. He different than Steve Smith. Yeah. All right, here another receiver, Larry Fitzgerald.
I'm taking Larry Fitz.
All right, bet. Andre Johnson.
I'm gonna take Andre, but it's close.
I
respect bigger receivers though.
But I'm just going through receivers of that era.
Okay.
I can't knock it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Just because they bigger. Brandon Marshall.
Steve Smith. Easy.
See. Over Brandon Marshall?
Easy.
Hell no, dog. Like, Brandon Marshall
Easy.
was an elite receiver just like those guys. He was up in that T.O., like, Calvin territory most
Brandon
seasons.
Marshall was not up there with T.O. and
Brandon Marshall was a top 5 receiver.
T.O.
Brandon Marshall was a top 5 receiver during his time.
In where? In Chicago, Miami?
Chicago, Miami.
Jay Cutler?
Denver, all of it. He was with all of it.
No, not
And he had to
5.
play with Jay Cutler his whole career. Damn near.
Steve Smith played with Jake Delhomme. Come on, man. And he played with Cam Newton, who was...
All right. What about Jordy Nelson?
Steve Smith, not even a question.
It's close.
It's not close.
Jordy had some of the years. He did it longer, though. Steve Smith did it way longer than Jordy. What about Wes Welker?
Steve Smith, not close.
Not close?
Wes Welker? Come on, man. Wes Welker?
Wes was he was a specialist. Wes was a specialist. I'll give you that one. All right, here's a little more controversial name. Hines Ward.
No, Steve Smith. Easy.
Yeah, he better.
I go Steve
Juju.
Smith.
Ooh, that's a good comp, though.
Like
Juju is a good comp.
Yeah.
Juju's a good comp. I agree a lot with that. All right, last one I got on the list. Reggie Wayne. Or Steve Smith.
Steve Smith.
Hell no, bro. It's
Steve
not.
Smith
You can't say Steve Smith. You can't say Steve Smith over Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne was an elite receiver. He wasn't just a specialist. He was elite.
Do you think Reggie Wayne's doing the same thing on the Carolina Panthers?
I think Reggie Wayne is doing more. I think he's doing more. Yeah. I think he's doing more. Like, Reggie Wayne was the 2 on that team, bro. And we seen when he became the 1, it was different.
Yeah, but like Peyton. We're talking about Peyton Manning, though.
Nah. It doesn't matter if it's Peyton Manning. It didn't matter if it was Jake Delhomme. It didn't matter. Reggie Wayne was a beast.
Come on, man.
A route runner. He had the speed, a red zone threat. He did it all. He ran every route. Steve Smith was fly route, drags. He wasn't doing every route.
Steve Smith was doing everything.
Nah, he wasn't doing everything. Screens.
Everything.
Yeah, he was blocking. I'll give him that little short ass, strong
bulldog. But we've seen how a quarterback can change a receiver's whole career. Like,
yeah.
No disrespect to Minnesota Vikings Randy Moss, but when he went to New England, it was different. Like, Tom Brady took him to the next level. Like, you've seen guys when they get an elite quarterback, how they just go. You saw it in Denver, Peyton Manning.
We saw with Carolina with Cam.
Yeah, Cam did not do that to Steve. Don't do that.
Cam did that to Steve. He had one of his best years with Cam.
But Steve was already elite.
Nah, but Cam unlocked him.
No.
Cam unlocked him.
Nah, I'm not doing
He had
that.
one of his best years with Cam Newton.
He did, but Steve was already like that. Like, Steve helped Cam more than Cam helped Steve.
Oh, I don't know about that. About that.
We've seen it in Denver, where rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas was okay.
I take Demaryius Thomas over Steve Smith.
Oh my gosh.
I take Demaryius Thomas over Steve Smith, bro.
Oh my goodness.
Steve Smith is down there. I don't think he was even like top 15 in that. He barely top 15 in that era for me. I'll take Demaryius Thomas. You know who else I'll take over Steve Smith? Roddy White. I'll take Roddy White over Steve Smith, bro.
I'm about to end this train. We're getting disrespectful now.
I would.
He's top 10 all time in the history of the NFL. Top 10. In yards,
you know who Steve Smith is like to me? T.Y. Hilton. Like, that's the area I got Steve Smith.
He just did it for longer. 10? How are you top 10 in? Like,
I mean, he got a lot of the deep plays, man. A lot of his shit was in chunk games too. Like, people forget about that. He took advantage of matchups, right? It's not like Tyreek Hill where he uses his speed every single game. Steve Smith was one of those guys that would have 200 yards, 3 TDs, and then be quiet against a team that schemed for him the right way, or a corner that had the same speed. That's how I know you remember that. Steve Smith would have them blow up games, 150 and 2 TDs, 200 yards. He wasn't very consistent throughout the year until later in his career. Like, that's the part that Steve Smith, man, he was a big game player. Like, he had huge games in bad matchups.
How do you have over 1,200 receptions, top 10 in yards?
He played for a long ass time. How many seasons did Steve Smith play? I don't even know. How many seasons?
Like 12, 13?
No, he played more than that. Steve Smith played more seasons.
But at the back end, he was in Baltimore. He wasn't really number one in Baltimore.
He was just collecting stats.
See, this is the thing. He wasn't the number one his first 3 years in the league in Carolina. He was just a kick returner, punt returner.
Yeah.
Then the back half of his career, he wasn't really a number one either. He was helping the Ravens. He was with Joe Flacco, and they had all those guys. It was really he only had like an 8-year prime in Carolina where he was the number one receiver.
He played 16 years.
Uh-huh.
16 years. That's a long career. He was a first team All Pro twice in his career. And this is a telling sign. He only made the Pro Bowl 5 times. That's a telling sign.
Why is that telling?
In 16 years, you only made the Pro Bowl, which everybody makes. He only made it 5 times.
No,
that means he wasn't really truly valued. That's how I know he ain't getting in, because he wasn't even truly valued as a top 15 receiver then.
The Pro Bowl,
make the damn Pro Bowl
back then. The Pro Bowl back then was even way better. The Pro Bowl now,
yeah, because it had good players in it. Like it had good players like Brandon Marshall, Reggie Wayne, Roddy White. It had better players in there.
The Pro Bowl now, dudes is just opting out. Freaking Mac Jones made the Pro Bowl last year.
Yeah,
come on, true. Bro.
But back then it was worth something though. Like Steve Smith to me, man, he'll be good, but he ain't a Hall of Famer. Maybe in a few years, gosh. Maybe.
Sheesh.
T.O. wasn't first ballot.
Top 10, you don't make the Hall of Fame. I don't understand.
He not top 10, bro.
He's top 10 all time.
What is he? Let me see what he is in yardage and catches, bro. Because I gotta look this shit up now. Now you got me wondering.
He's top 10 all time in those categories.
Receiving yards leaders, man. We see all these names from better players. So Reggie Wayne's right there too. So you got
how many years
Steve
Reggie
Smith.
Wayne played? 20.
Steve Smith is 8. Reggie Wayne actually played 2 years less than Steve Smith.
Okay.
Andre Johnson played 2 years less than Steve Smith, and
Steve Smith also missed 2 full seasons though.
It don't matter. Reggie Wayne was hurt too, and Andre Johnson missed some time. I don't want to hear all players play with injuries. Anquan Bolden's a name I take over Steve Smith. I take Anquan Bolden over Steve Smith. Like, there's a lot of players I take over Steve Smith. I ain't gonna lie, dog. I ain't gonna hold you. Top 10 is Jerry Rice, Larry Fitzgerald, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, Isaac Bruce, Tony Gonzalez. All those receivers have over 1,500 yards. Tim Brown is next. Then Steve Smith, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson is 8 through 11. All those guys were within 600 yards of each other. So those last seasons Steve Smith was playing, he kind of boosted up. You know what I'm saying? He got himself a little extra for playing longer.
Okay, so all those receivers you just named.
Yeah.
Take Steve Smith out of the equation. Would you agree that they're not Hall of Famers?
Marvin is
every
a Hall of
single
Famer.
One of them.
Marvin is a Hall of Famer for sure. Marvin Harrison is a Hall of Famer. Andre Johnson's a maybe. Reggie Wayne is a maybe. Probably not for both of those two because they didn't get.
What?
I think Marvin Harrison for sure is a Hall of Famer though.
I think all those guys are Hall of Famers in my opinion.
Nah, but receivers, bro, it just takes the receivers too long to get in. Like I think Torrey Holt is still not in the Hall of Fame. Like, and Torrey was a dog. Torrey was a dog, bro.
Man, that's crazy.
It took Tim Brown how long to get in that? Didn't it take Tim Brown a long time to get in the Hall of Fame too?
It did, but Chris I feel Carter. Like for me, like those guys to me are no-brainers.
There go Brandon Marshall down there at 23.
Yeah, I'm cool on Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall at 23.
I'm cool on Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall was nice though. Like no disrespect, but you're talking about he's not up there with Steve.
He also played 3 years less though, and Brandon Marshall was up there with Steve. And that's just yards. We didn't talk about receiving. We didn't talk about touchdowns either.
You don't talk about a deep ball only threat.
Who?
Brandon Marshall is playing jump
nah,
ball.
Bro. We can't. We're not gonna do this about Brandon Marshall. We're not. We're not gonna do this about Brandon because that boy would 20 catches in a game. He still got the record for most catches in a game, don't he?
Yeah, you're right.
Receiving touchdowns. Where's Steve Smith on this list? If you had to guess what number you think he's at, what do you think he's at?
I'm gonna say he's in the 40s.
Oh, close. He's at number 30 right now. He's tied with Mike Evans for number 30. Yeah. That's not bad, actually, though.
Yeah.
But you know who's right ahead of him?
5'9"?
You know who's right ahead of him at 28?
Probably Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall, Reggie Wayne, and Anquan Bolden.
Steve Smith was 5'9", though.
Steve Smith was 5'9", though, bro. He was hella small.
You can't just throw it up. Like, a lot of those guys you just named, a lot of those touchdowns, Mike Evans, throw it up, jump ball.